Welcome to The Bridge. We are a show that connects East and West. My name is Jason. I'm originally from sunny California, now living in beautiful Beijing. Today with me is Alex.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex Shu. I'm proudly representing the northeast part of China. I am in Beijing as well, and I'm getting into the holiday mood early.
Today with us, we have Gambit, who is a comedian, voice actor, author, and musician from Liverpool, England. He is a voice actor many will recognize from movies such as Moon Man, The Battle for Lake Changjin, and the English voice for Sun Wukong in the Monkey King movies and video games. He recently authored a new fiction novel, We Angry Few, available at Amazon Books. Kay has been a comedian for 7 years and has done shows all over China and has recently premiered a groundbreaking show alongside comedian Donnie Fan. Welcome to the show, Kay Gambit.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
You mentioned the holidays.
Yes.
What holidays coming up?
Well, the biggest and most important one for Chinese people all year round.
Very exciting.
Super exciting.
And what's it called?
It is called Chinese New Year. The 春节, the Spring Festival.
And how do we say Happy New Year?
Well, you say 春节快乐. There are different ways of saying it, but I know the most popular one globally that everybody kind of knows is the one where we wish you a lot of fortune.
There we go.
恭喜发财.
This is southern China, right?
It
I would say Shini and Kuala. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, yeah.
And Happy New Year to you
Happy
out
New
there.
Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year.
Okay.
Wishing all the best.
Yes. Happy
course.
Year of the Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yes, rabbit, you know.
I heard that this rabbit year is actually special and that it
Yes.
somehow swallows next year's spring from Dragon
So it has
Year.
2 springs.
It's a double spring.
Yeah.
Oh,
it only
man.
happens once in 1,000 years or something.
Oh, there we go.
I know. They said the next time that this is going to happen is going to be in 1,260 years.
How do you know
and
that?
I'm pretty sure we're going to miss it.
Wow.
It depends how AI is going, you know.
Please don't take my brain and keep it so that I can see a double spring
You're
again.
like in Futurama with just heads and glasses.
I know. I will gladly pass on that.
I mean, we're going to go sci-fi here.
Count me
What's
in.
really-
I want to see future cars.
No, what's really cool is if you actually can upload your mind into a computer database, that in the future, when they have like colonies and other solar systems, you don't have to spend 200 years to get there. You literally travel at the speed of light there because they
Okay.
can just send your information through a light beam.
So that completely eliminates the possibilities of seeing passersby just trip and fall, and you can just laugh at that.
Yeah. Also, he just eliminated humanity, and
I
now
know.
we're all robots. You know.
Great.
Well, we
great
have to
time
keep some
looking
humans
forward
as
to.
slaves.
Of course.
So, Kay, could you tell us a little bit about where you're from?
Sure.
And your choice to come to China?
Yeah, so I started as a young police officer.
Wait, what?
In
I
Liverpool.
didn't know this.
You didn't know I was a cop?
I didn't know this. So
Yeah,
I think we have to say, so Kay and I, we've known each other for
well, for a while
2
now.
years.
Yeah.
Almost, we do shows together. And when you listen to each other's jokes, you know, when you see each other perform on stage all the time, you feel like you know this person really, really well. But apparently, we're just unearthing new information for Alex.
Well, how long were you a police officer?
Well, I was in training. We have something called special police, which is you don't get paid. It's completely voluntary.
Is this a British thing?
It's a British thing. You have all of the authority and all of the training that a normal police officer has. They just don't pay you. And then after 2 years of service, you can apply for a full-time job.
Is there another
Wow.
route? Can you get full paid from the beginning route?
Sure, but it's very difficult. So I was also a bar manager at the time. And I thought, if I'm going to really do this police thing, that's a big commitment. That's the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be a homicide detective. That was the goal.
Wow.
Homicide detective.
Wow.
I did all the training. I was getting ready to do it. My plan B was military police detective.
You were really determined this
Yeah.
whole.
I passed the physical exams. I passed the mental exams and all the tests. I was ready to go. But then I thought, this is a big commitment for a 21-year-old. Let me. And my friend at the time just came back from Hong Kong, and he was like, dude, take a year in China. Everything will clear up
Yeah.
and you'll have fun. And I was like, okay, sure. So I thought, okay, I'll take a year out just to mentally prep myself.
Yeah.
And stayed for 9 years. That 1 year turned into almost a decade.
I feel like at some point we'll have to rank or, put all of our guests on the show in order to see who had the shortest time plan to come to China and stay the longest.
We could actually just edit that clip out. I plan to come to China for a year and make
Ended
like
up
a
9, yeah.
I feel
long,
like
just
we
one
should.
guest after
We should.
another.
I'm going to go home eventually.
At some point. Never happens.
So you came to China to just clear your head about your career decisions.
Yeah, I just wanted to do some traveling before I eventually do something very dangerous.
Did
as
you
a
come
career.
straight to Beijing?
Yeah, I applied for a bunch of places in China. Beijing just was the first one to accept me.
Wow.
Aw.
So,
I came here and never left.
wow,
We
that's-
welcome you.
Yeah.
Beijing welcomes you.
Were
Thank
you
God.
a comedian, bartender, police officer back home?
No, first time I did comedy was in Beijing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
How
never
you-
did comedy before.
How did you get into that?
I thought I've been to a few shows, and I thought, I think I'm a funny guy. Like the funny man in the office.
Yeah.
But that's risky because usually the funny man in the office doesn't know how to write jokes. It's different. So I was like, I could probably try it. So I actually used a fake name to do an open mic.
What? Oh my God.
I'd never met anyone there, so no one knew me. I'd seen a few open mic shows. So I was like, if this goes very bad, I don't want anyone knowing my real name. So I went in with a fake name. And
Which was?
what
That's
was
a good
my
question.
fake name? I think it was Chris Wilde. I went in as Chris Wilde.
Was it following sort of a Chris Angel kind of
Yeah,
feeling?
I'd had a previous email called Chris Wilde for an old job where they didn't want me to use my real name. So I was like, okay, I'll use that. So I went as Chris Wilde. And unfortunately, I did pretty good. Now, at that point, I'm like, damn, now I can't go back and reveal my real name. That's embarrassing.
You could just do a different name every week for like a few months.
Yeah, that could be a brand too. You know,
Yeah.
the comedian that
I don't
tells
really
the
know
same
his
joke,
name. What's
but
his
always
name?
comes with a different name.
Richard, right? No?
Yeah.
I waited a few weeks and then went back. Luckily, no one recognized me. And I was like, hey, I'm K Gambit. I'm going to stick with that.
I do remember seeing a picture from that time, or at least like
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, and Kay looked very different back then.
I was very
style.
thin, very short hair.
Yeah, very short hair,
very long hair
suited
now.
up, and
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm shoulder length for a while, but like a few years ago, I was all shaved back.
What does it feel like for both of you to do a really good set versus not so successful, where people are maybe crickets?
Actually, the not so successful ones are more. I hate the word cathartic, but it's more cathartic, And it really gives you, honestly, for us, like we go to shows or we go to open mics, you want to know whether your material really works or not. But sometimes the thing is, when people laugh, they could be laughing for different reasons.
So you would rather people not laugh than not understand
Please laugh
why they're
at my
laughing?
jokes. Please laugh at my jokes.
That's why we wrote them.
Please laugh at my jokes.
Okay.
But just for my sanity reasons,
So you-
if a show...
What kind of laugh was that? Is this a-
Because we do, I'm sure Kay would concur on that as well. Sometimes it was not intended to be a punchline or we didn't think... And
you
then
get
it just...
accidental jokes sometimes.
And you're
yeah.
like, whoa, I didn't think that was going to be amusing to you guys. And then, that kind of messes up not messes up, but it puts a little bit of doubt in your mind. You're like, oh, should I change that? And then if you take that to the next show, you're like, oh, people laughed at A, and then you do A again,
And no one laughs.
Right.
no one laughs.
Right.
And so you're just, it's like a detour to what actually really works. In comparison with when people didn't laugh, then for whatever reason, they're not laughing. Well, that didn't work.
So
that for sure.
Don't doubt yourself. If you intended for them to laugh at that point, then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
success. But if there's laughing somewhere else, it's like you're confused.
For me, I guess. I have to figure
Yeah.
it out.
When I get an accidental laugh somewhere I didn't intend to get a laugh, for me that's like, oh, maybe I should extend and
Yeah.
write something new there and push that more. Comedy is a very unique style of entertainment. It's not like movies or music. You watch a movie 10 times, it's the same every time. And your reaction to the movie will be very similar each time. Same when you listen to a song or listen to a live band. They're going to do the same song, and you're going to have the same experience. You're going to enjoy it. With comedy, it's so random.
It is.
You could do exactly the same jokes one night and get a great response exactly where you wanted it. The next night, you do exactly the same thing and nothing works.
Exactly. And it's very, this is why sometimes, because of COVID, sometimes online comedy shows
Yeah.
were organized. I personally hasn't done it, and I don't think
I only
ever,
did one. It was quite a strange experience.
I couldn't do it. I don't think I'll ever be able to bring myself to doing it, because for us, we need to hear it. Like, we need to hear people laugh. Seeing people laugh and hearing people laugh are very different. So I always encourage people to laugh out loud.
Yeah.
And Kay's a very animated comic on stage. And when you're doing all of that work on stage, all you get is people sitting in the audience seat
and just
going,
smiling. Remember, when
You
we're
don't
on
hear
stage,
anything.
we
Oh my
can't
God.
see anyone.
Yeah.
Lights.
There's a big light in our face.
Yeah.
We can't see anyone. So if you don't laugh, we assume you're not having a good time.
Yeah. So we really need to hear it. And then when we do different venues and stuff, like, Dalton, my boyfriend, who's always in the back, and I would be like, oh God, I felt like that just what, and he goes, no, but people are laughing in the back. But we're like, we couldn't hear it on stage.
Yeah, we don't know.
And that deems that place not so ideal of a venue for us.
Yeah.
I watch a couple performance shows on television every now and then, and I can tell that there's sometimes, I don't want to name the show, the same laugher
I can guess
in
it.
different shows. And I'm like, okay, that person is brought in to sit in the audience to make that particular laugh during the performances.
Yeah.
Do you have friends who are crazy laughers that you try to get to shows?
Well, there's Donnie. That's a crazy laugh.
Donnie fan, you can hear him in a crowd.
All the time.
Yeah, usually after everyone's finished laughing, he's still going.
Yeah.
You'll hear him immediately. Also, on a lot of taped shows, they'll put... This is an industry secret.
Ooh, let us in on that, please.
There'll be during laughter parts, it's real laughter from the crowd, but if it isn't impressive enough, they might add just a little audio file with extra laughter.
Wow.
I've always thought that's how, like, a certain sense of humor is trained for people from that same country.
Yeah. So you might be hearing the
You know.
same laughter file with someone who was recorded sounds very familiar. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that was a great laugh. Let's save that.
Yeah.
It's like the Scream mime. Well, in every movie, the same guy, the Scream, I forget his name, yeah.
Yeah. I always identify that. I'm like, okay, that's that Scream. Because it's in Star Wars. I mean, it's in everything.
It's in everything. It's in
everything.
Indiana Jones. It's in Star Wars, yeah.
It's in B movies, too.
Yeah. But comedy shows do the same thing.
Could you talk about I'm sure it's different for each of you.
Yeah.
The process of writing jokes, preparing new
man.
material. Where does that come from? You're just in the shower and you're like, oh, that's funny.
For me, that's sometimes that's how it happens, actually, because we're not
Yeah.
neither of us is a full-time comedian. I'm sure full-time stand-up comics will dedicate times to writing. For us, it's like we have to just document it on the go. If we think of something that's funny, like I just put something down on my note yesterday, and
And you notes on your phone, notes
yes,
in a book.
I keep the note app on my phone, the one that's pinned to the top. It's my quote-unquote jokes.
I just send it to myself on WeChat.
Smart.
Text myself.
And then it's in like singular message form as well. That's smart. So, because if you don't write it down, you forget it for sure.
Immediately.
Because you will come up with a joke, you're like, oh my God, that is brilliant. 2 seconds later, you're like, what was the thing in my mind? So you have to write it down just as soon as you think of it. And then after that step, I'm pretty sure people have different approaches to how to organize it. For me, it's just like, okay, if I write it down and I know that I'm going to go to open mic next week, then I just find a way to put that into a 5-minute thing. And then we're going to go to different open mics or go to the same open mic a couple of times.
Test it, yeah.
And test it and see. That's where we like to see how people react to it.
Yep.
Because mostly it's really hard. I know people are saying, oh, the rule of 3 and all of that. You should have like a punchline and then a follow-up and then punchline to the follow-up. It's really hard when you just come up with a joke and that's like exactly how it pans out for you the first time. So you
And
actually
to you, that's a good joke.
yeah. So like
Yeah.
I open mics is where you kind of, for me, it's kind of where I get that inspiration. I say that on stage. In my writing, it stops right there. But then when I see the audience or if I hear, listen to other comic sets and I'm like, oh yeah, I could add this to it. And after a couple of mics and that's ready. And that's you just
Throw
repeat
it on
that
a
process.
show,
Yeah.
So your process is very similar.
Yeah. I'll have an idea. Maybe sometimes I'll text myself my idea. For me, when I write, it's in the shower. It's the only time of the day when I'm completely just at zen with the world.
Please recommend the brand of phone that you use to.
He's in the shower.
I know.
I'm just at zen when I'm in the shower, and that's when I practice my jokes. I have a problem also where I'll text myself an idea. I'll have an idea, great idea. I'm like, oh my God, this could be a great idea. I'll text myself. The next day, just like Alex said, I'll wake up and I'll look, and I'll forget what I thought about. And I'll check my notes.
Mean?
I'll check my notes, and they'll just say like Santa face.
Yes.
And I'm like, what did you mean?
You can send
Write it
yourself
out.
voice messages.
I know. That is smart. I had this note on my phone. It says ECDC. That's it.
I do that all the time. And I'm like, oh, I'm sure this was something really funny. But I
Yeah.
can't remember what I meant.
I had another one that says Edison Friends.
Hey, you got some laughs right now. It works.
Because that's totally a comedian thing.
You
I'm
know
sure
what we should do?
everyone does that.
I think we should do a thing between comics. We should just give each other our own notes.
Or stupid notes that we
yeah,
forgot.
and then
like
the
come up
other
with-
person has to come up with something
I'd love to
based
do that.
on those
That'd be pretty fun.
stupid notes. That'd be fun.
In your repertoire, which is quite extensive actually, you worked in comic books in a universe called Unity Universe. Could you elaborate on that and what you did in?
Yeah, I'm the co-founder of Unity Universe. We write. Also, me and my writing partner, Ari Abramovsky, we write novels, and well, we've only published one so far. We're working on the second. But we've also published a comic book franchise. We're only 6 comics in. We decided to do this so long ago. It turned out into just, what if?
Yeah.
Because we're both nerds and we love comics and superheroes and stuff like that. We're like, what if? What about this story? And we thought, maybe we just write a graphic novel. But then our ideas kept getting bigger and bigger. We're like, this is never going to fit in one book. We have to write a whole thing.
Yeah.
And we just decided to do it. So we hired a writer. At the moment, we didn't hire a writer. I'm the writer. And Ari, we hired an artist. Because if I draw, it's going to be stick figures.
That could be good too, its own thing.
Wait, you're telling me I
Could be
could
niche.
be involved in
Yeah.
the creation of a comic book without being really able to draw? That would be nice.
But yeah, a few years ago, we decided to hire an artist, Brenda Salazar, Mexican illustrator. And Amazon decided to publish.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're up on there. And then we wrote a novel, which
They
is
have
pretty
2
fun.
published books.
Yeah. No, I have technically 7, but
So wait, when you say you wrote a novel, is that the new book that you've just published,
that's
We Angry
yeah.
Few?
Yeah, that is.
And so you can find that also on Amazon
Yes.
by checking We Angry Few with K Gambit.
Yes, you'll find it right there.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Right. The comic books are more sci-fi. It's basically, it's a story you've seen before. It focuses on the bad side of superpowers. Our first villain is
I like that.
yeah. Our first villain is a girl who wakes up one day with the superpower to lose her skin.
What?
So she basically explodes.
Oh gosh.
Every day. This is
Just once. And then she goes insane and becomes a serial killer. trying
I'm
to
sorry, this
find
is
other
not
young,
funny, but-
trying to
Does
find
her
other
skin
young
come
women
back?
to. No, she has to find other young women to take their skin to wear it.
That is
Wow.
that is beyond creepy.
That's one. That's the first villain.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So you basically turned kind of like real life serial killers into
Into like
So they're not
Bad-
superpowers as much as they're like
super villains.
Yeah, the superpowers aren't great.
curses.
Yeah, pretty much. And we have a British detective team trying to figure out what to do.
I wonder where the idea for a British detective
I know.
came
I was just
from.
thinking. It all goes
Yeah.
back to what we're talking
Yeah.
about in the very beginning of Case
Yeah.
adult life.
The novel, though, We Angry Few, is based more about the 1860s Civil War in America.
Wow.
But it's an alternate history. So
I like those. Type.
Yeah, so it's basically there was a lawyer in New York at the time
Yeah.
who decided to gather up all of the gangs because he represented them all, so he had all of the contacts. He put them all in one building to try and set up a treaty where they would all work together, and then swiftly poisoned all of them, except for a few of the people organizing this mass poisoning. He then declared himself mayor of New York by killing the old mayor because the president is too busy with the war.
Yeah.
And then he declared New York a kingdom and him the king.
Wow.
So King Lenny and the Rochester Reapers became a thing. Yeah, he named it. He's from Rochester, so he named him. He named his crew the Rochester Reapers.
I look forward to the numbers of number of sales of that book in New York. Actually, I feel like
So it's about a group of people from different places. There's a Chinese girl who's an immigrant on her way to New York with her
Nice.
family. There's an Irish guy who's looking for his lost brother, who was one of the poisoned people. And there's a bounty hunter who's just out for revenge. But they all have this. They all eventually have the same goal, which is kill the king.
Oh, poor Lenny.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel
We
like
just learned about him.
Yeah.
And now he's got to go. Oh, that's
So the whole book
Maybe
is
he
following.
survives.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a POV book. So
like
every
we should
chapter is
make
a
that.
different POV.
we should make a trailer of that between the comics and fiction.
Yeah.
It's
It took 3 years to write that thing.
wow.
So, could you tell us about the process of writing? Because you say you're the writer
Yeah.
primarily.
Yeah.
So, how many hours do you have? Like certain
man.
hour to hour, like day to day, a schedule?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So me and Ari will come up with a concept of either a character or a situation, and then usually Ari does the mapping. He knows exactly where we need to go, but I need to put it on paper because I do all of the dialogue and
Yeah, you fill it in. With all the,
I do all the literature and stuff like that. So we'll kind of work as a good team that way. We have ideas, but he knows exactly how to really turn a small idea into a really cool one, and then I put it on paper in a way that works how we want it to work. It could be me writing for 10 minutes and then going, I don't know how to describe the snowfall. There's a building I need to describe.
I don't know what it looks
I don't know what I can picture it, but I don't know how to put it into words.
Square.
Yeah, or if I'm really locked in, it'll be 5 hours of me
Yeah.
just typing. And I won't proofread any. We have an editor as well
Yeah.
because of this. There'll be spelling mistakes and like grammar mistakes because I just go.
I know. I do that for Dalton as well.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I don't read
It's
it
like-
back. I just write.
I was like, why don't you put a comma there?
Yeah. My editor
This should
does
be
that.
a period.
Yeah, we didn't have an editor at first until we wrote like 600 pages.
Wow.
And then we're like, oh, we should probably get an editor.
Yeah.
Because Ari's like, did you check this stuff? And I'm like, no, I just wrote it. And
So-
I'm like,
Your full-time job is voice actor.
I've many things that
Many
I'm doing.
things.
Yeah.
He's / culture.
I was about to say that exactly. You know that term, right? / culture or /
I've never heard that.
She's taught me this.
So it's a way. It's a direct translation from the Chinese way of describing someone who does a lot of different jobs.
Oh, I see.
And not necessarily for survival. This person just has a very
Right.
big range of hobbies and interests and capabilities, of course. So this person does, for example, you're a voice actor, you're a stand-up comedian, you're a published writer.
Ah, right.
So you're someone in the slash culture because
Slash culture, I like that.
voiceover artist slash comic slash
There you
K
go.
Gambit.
But you do
And
dub.
the guitarist for Guns N' Roses, too.
Yeah, sure.
Well, don't you need a big hat for that?
Hey, you don't know that's not...
I
one
don't.
knows who's
I
laughing.
don't know that's not you.
Child.
But you're kind of young. I mean, if you were 10 years old or something. Could you tell us about some of the movies that you've done, or how did you get into this?
Oh, man. I didn't usually... I went to Hollywood to try and become an actor. I have a joke...
Did you know this?
I did.
I have a joke.
One of Kate's jokes.
I have a joke about this, and it's totally true. I went to Hollywood. I did my best. And, the myth isn't wrong. It's a bad idea. So after bartending for a little bit, I came back to England. After I got to Beijing, a friend of mine was voice acting for a company that leases out movies, Chinese movies.
Gary, was it?
It was Kimberly, another comedian.
Oh.
But Gary was there too. That's how I met Gary, actually. A friend of ours, also another comedian.
Yeah. And voice actor.
And voice actor. So she was like, oh, why don't you just make some extra money dubbing these Chinese TV shows? They're low-budget shows. And I was like, all right. I showed up. I did the interview. And they were like, oh, yeah, let's do it. And then I started networking. I really enjoyed it, actually. It's very fun. And then I networked, and I met some, real agents.
Yeah.
And started slowly progressing from low-budget TV shows to Sun Wukong.
So Sun Wukong is like the most iconic Chinese
Yeah.
character in all of film, maybe literature, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
The Monkey King. Could you share a tiny bit of your Sun Wukong with us?
Yeah, I've reprised that role 6 times.
Six movies and video games.
Two video games, 3 movies.
Can we know the names of the video games? Or is that still under NDA or
One of them is NDA. The other is it's a mashup of different Chinese characters all together. It's a fighting game like Tekken. It's on my IMDb.
Okay, we'll look it up. People, please, our listeners,
Yeah.
please go look up K Gambit
Yeah.
on IMDb.
K Gambit.
So if
IMDb.
you at home are watching a Monkey King movie
Yeah.
and it's in
You
English,
hear the voice.
that's him.
the voice I chose, because they were like, just do an American voice, and I was like, no, this is Sun Wukong. He has to sound like a monkey man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I decided to make him sound a little like this. Yeah, a little bit of flavor on there.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I really loved a movie that came out, I think it was last year, called Moon Man.
Did it?
I went to see it in the theater. I saw it at home. I actually cried during
damn.
this movie. I know it's
Nice.
supposed to be a comedy. When they're jumping over the crater, have you seen this movie?
Was it the Shen Teng and Ma Li movie where
Yes.
where there's a kangaroo?
Yeah, there's a kangaroo.
I haven't seen that one yet. I really wanted to.
It's a good one.
I won't tell you the scene that I cried because it's kind of a critical moment.
It's a spoiler, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
so you did that.
Yeah.
Which
You did that?
characters?
I did a lot of the. I'm usually the white guys. Anytime you see a foreigner, it depends where. If you see a white guy, that's probably my voice.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my God.
What's the process of working on a film like that? A big Chinese film. What is the studio experience like? Is there director there?
Well, I just did Wandering Earth 2
Wow.
Oh, nice.
a couple days ago. I just got off the set. Basically, my agent will. Sometimes I don't need to audition because I'm at.
Because you've had that the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know who I am, and they're like, just get Kay to do that. So I don't need to send an audition. But sometimes they're like, we need to hear auditions.
Yeah.
So it's me and 100 other guys
Oh God.
Wow.
fighting over security man 1. But when we get it, we get the date. They check the time because there's usually 30 people who need to go in to do the ADR and the dubbing. So for the production team, it's a whole week.
So before the show, you were talking a little bit about the direction. You don't have to talk about any specific production. Just so
Thank God.
generally, in an abstract sense, what is some of the direction that you get like? And how do you interpret that?
Half the time, there's no direction. I show up and they go, okay, you're, like, for example, security guy 1, he says this, here's the scene, so I get to see the scene. And then they're just like, okay, do that.
Yeah.
But, with either in English or with better English. Because a lot of the time
You can interpret
it's a French guy or a Russian guy, and they want him to be British, or they want him to be American. Luckily, I can do both. But they're like, here's the scene, here's the script, just go. But if it's a big character, they'll sometimes the directions are so ridiculous, especially for movies. Not so much.
It's the TV shows.
It's video games.
Wow.
The directions for video games, oh man, they'd be like,
With a video game, you might hear the same bit over and over and over because you're playing the same levels.
yeah, well, I'll do multiple takes. They're like, okay, you've been hit. Do a light hit,
like,
like, or getting hit, or heavy hit, or we'll spend an hour doing that. But some of the notes is like, okay, this guy. He comes from the mountains of doom. He's the leader of his clan. And I'm like, what do you want him to sound like? That's my job, is I make him sound like something. Right? Yes, but he's the leader. And I'm like, oh, great, good for him. What does he sound like? Like, he ate breakfast this morning, and he's still a little hungry. Make him sound like that. I'm like, what? I don't understand. So, and then they'll give me like 12 characters, all with very similar things like that. Now I have to make them all sound different, and then I'll get notes back.
They're
and
all
like,
from Mount Doom.
yeah, and they're like, oh, they like that one, but this one could, they wanted this. And I'm like, well, maybe they should have told me.
I actually have stories to share on that. I actually did dubbing for a TV show as well, a Chinese TV show.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the actor who played the character that I dubbed over passed away, which is very sad. She's a very good actress. But it was a TV show about a couple of young Chinese college students, going overseas to pursue further study, and then coming back to Zhongguancun to start their, career and their own company to become entrepreneurs overall. And then, of course, there's the love triangle, rectangle, whatever it is. That's the main thing, right? Yeah. And so my character was the second female lead, so not the first one. Still had a lot of. I think we did we recorded for like 3 days and
wow.
Yeah, it covered over like 30 episodes. And I had to. I was in college when they found us because we were cheap. We were college students. We cost practically nothing.
Yeah, they pay for your lunch. That's what you can.
Pretty much. It was 3,000 kwai, I remember, and I was like, "That's a lot of money for a college student."
Cash.
Right? And then I remember we went in, and I had to. In the show, I had a husband. The husband's name was Frank. And funny enough, apparently Frank's English. Frank was like Australian or something, I think.
Okay.
But I didn't like his voice, so they found another foreigner, like another American guy dubbing over Frank's voice, who's already like
trying to sound Australian.
It was an interesting experience, and I was 21 at the moment. And I had never dated anyone at that point. I didn't know how to, I've never had the experience of going to a restaurant, sipping wine, talking about feelings for each other.
Right.
And there's one scene in the TV show, and the ADR director wasn't very good at using words to direct you. I was supposed to say, basically, like, Frank was asking me to marry him, but I had a daughter, and my husband, or the father, the baby daddy, abandoned me, and I didn't want to commit to a new relationship to like a foreigner, but he was really charming and nice and helped me in my most awkward moments. And I was supposed to act like I was really drunk, and I'm trying to resist, but I couldn't, and I had to talk under my breath. But he didn't give me any of those like specific directions. And for a 21-year-old, I was just like, and then he just kept saying, sound more drunk. I was like, and then sound more.
I have a daughter.
Yeah, sound more like you want to say yes, but you can't. I was like, I don't know how to sound like I want to say yes, but I can't say yes. I don't know how, but it was very funny. I developed that show into a drinking game, basically.
Wow.
It's a great
I will
idea.
invite you over. I'll invite you guys over to my place.
Every
You
time
could
we
drink
hear
whatever.
you, we drink.
If you hear my voice in the show and you laugh, you have to drink.
That sounds incredible.
It's a great drinking game. Like, we'll do that.
Yeah, we
We'll
should
do that.
absolutely give that a
God,
try.
I had to speak French once in a TV show.
Do you speak French?
Now, no, not at all. I'm horrible. I don't even know how to read it. I'm a British man. I don't know how to read it. French words, it looks like BAUX.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, Bukes. And they're like, no, it's Homo. And I'm like, that sounds nothing like what it looks like. So my character was this Texan guy. I made him Texan. He didn't need to be Texan, but I made him Texan. So he was supposed to be quite Southern. The Southern American guy in China in the TV show, but the whole TV show he speaks Chinese. He's fluent. Mm-hmm. But anytime he speaks English, they were like, we can't have him go from
Fluent Chinese.
dubbing English over Chinese, and then all of a sudden he's just speaking English, because he's supposed to be bilingual.
Okay.
So we need another language to dub over the English.
Wow.
And they chose French. I can speak Spanish, no problem. And I told them that. Just do Spanish. And they were like, oh, we don't have any Spanish translators.
It's like, I could tell you.
I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
I'll translate it
figure
and
it
make
out.
double the money.
But they were like, we have a lot of French translators, and they've written, whenever he speaks English, we have all of the French figured out.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know how to speak French. So it gets to the point, and I'm trying to read this French, and I sound horrible. It's horrible. And they're like, okay, we need to cut this now. We're getting one of the translators in to literally mouth the words while you're reading it. It was so embarrassing.
Oh, wow.
So while I was doing the entire script, the entire show, there was a girl in front of me reading each line before I said it. And I couldn't even get through some lines. I had to do it word by word, and then
They have to
engineer
cut
would
it
edit
together. Oh, my God.
It was a nightmare.
So you did some of the voices for the Battle for Lake Changjin.
Yeah, Changjing Ho.
This is
A very, very big movie.
Huge movie culturally for China.
Yeah, I think
How
it
did
broke the
your
box office
Chinese
here.
friends react when they found out that you were participating in that production?
Most of my Chinese friends, they're like, oh, Kay did another movie. But, they know what to, every month they're like, oh, yeah, he did another one.
Fine, another movie. Jeez, stop telling us already.
Wandering Earth 2, we get it. But yeah, it was a pretty big reaction, because that movie it broke a lot of numbers here.
Box office records and stuff.
Yeah,
I
it
think.
broke the box office here.
It was in the news. Like you were reading the news.
Yeah,
like,
even the
oh,
Western
Yeah.
news had that all over the place.
Exactly.
But that was a good one, yeah. People like it. I have a bigger part in the second one. I don't know if I can.
If you can't tell us, I don't want you to get
Well,
you
the
in
movie's
trouble.
released. I think my NDA is over now. But
You could, I guess.
Just don't tell the last 5 minutes.
there's a
Yeah.
scene where an American soldier is camped up in a location and is just going nuts on Chinese soldiers. That was me.
Oh no,
You're the bad guy. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen the second one
That was
yet.
one of me. But yeah,
We're gonna go see that.
yeah. No spoilers. But yeah,
The Wandering Earth.
I did Wandering Earth, and I've just finished Wandering Earth 2.
I didn't even know there was Wandering Earth 2.
There
I
is.
can't.
I saw
Yeah.
the first one in the movie theater.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So how is working on films and video games different? I have a different question. I'm sorry.
Sure.
When you're going to do a film or TV, do you watch the scenes before you do the voiceover, or are you just kind of all at the same time? It's just happening.
With movies, they'll have it all ready to go, and they'll show me the scene, and they'll be like, okay, that's you. This is your lines. Find it in the script, and we'll do a couple tests. And if one of them's good, they'll keep it, or we'll just keep trying. Video games, way easier.
Really? I would have thought you would do more takes because I'm just guessing here from an outsider's perspective. Because if I'm playing Tekken, you hear the same 100 dialogue points 1,000 times. So it wouldn't be really critical to get it super right?
Right, but they recorded them first, then animated around it.
Really?
Oh.
The voice is done before the animation.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I mean, I know that's kind of the procedure. That's the steps for like animation movies and TV shows. But I didn't know that was the same for
video games.
Yeah.
So
well.
when I do a video game, they'll get me in first, send it to the animators.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's way easier. They just go, here's the script.
Read it.
They have like previs pictures of the characters.
Yeah.
An artist rendition.
Yeah.
Or maybe even just a reference because they haven't designed the character yet. But voices come first.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just show up and they go, here's the script. Hopefully they know what kind of voice they want. And I'll just record it all.
So your role is actually a little more important than
I was
other
thinking
voiceover
that too.
artists in animation movies.
Yeah. When I show up to a TV show or a movie, I have to make sure every
Follow.
word I say is following the guy's
The way,
lips.
the shape.
Yeah,
So
we
what
call them flaps.
do they write the words in such a way that they should emulate the mouth, or do you have to figure that out
For movies or games?
for movies?
No, usually it's some guy they found off the street who looks good, and they gave him a script, and he's probably butchered the line. So I just have to do my best to make sure the line they wanted it to be is as close to how he looks like he's saying it as I can.
I do want to encourage our listeners, if you're in Beijing and listening to this episode today, I do want to encourage everybody to find K Gambit offline to hear his jokes. He has a lot of stories that he's turned into jokes in his comedy set. And I've personally heard them so many times. And every time when he starts that joke, I'm still like, I want to listen to it again because it's just that hilarious.
Well, why don't we plug that? What are some of the venues that you do stand-up comedy in that we could find you if we're in Beijing?
We just did Nugget in Beijing. We did the record store in
Light Pie Record Store and 798 in the
798,
Art District.
Yeah, was another common one. We do open mics
At Patty's. Yeah.
patio shays. We're also doing we're going to start a bi-weekly one at
Nuggets, right? The Wednesday ones are Nugget shows. We're not keeping good.
Nugget.
I don't know. We're not keeping good tabs on where
DJ
we're
Fonto
performing.
does Nugget a lot, actually.
Yeah, we move around a lot.
yeah.
Some venues shut down. Some don't have time. Some don't pay enough. Some.
So Patty's
move
is the
around.
most consistent one.
Going back to voice acting for a moment, we both know and interviewed Todd Coons. And before the show, you
I
mentioned
forgot about that.
he mentioned
Sorry,
that
Todd.
he has worked with Todd.
Yeah, I've worked
and
with Todd
so could you
before.
tell us a little bit about that? Because he has been on our show before also.
Nice. Yeah, I've worked with Todd before. He's an OG
Voice actor.
OG VO here. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
OGV.
Voiceover performer.
Voice over. So we call it VO artist.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't know you didn't know the lingo. But yeah, I've known Todd for a while. Yeah. He's a cool dude. We've done a lot of movies together.
So, you've been living here 9 years?
About 9 years, yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your personal experience in China and why you've continued to live here?
Don't you dare try to leave. I will murder you.
Yeah, I was interviewing someone a couple weeks ago, and they'd been here like 12 years, and they're like, but I'm going home soon. And I was like, my heart broke inside of me.
Yeah.
Was it Fonto?
No. Oh, Fonto is planning on leaving, but I don't think
Right.
he's really going to leave.
No one ever really leaves.
It's that talk that's just going to happen for like 5 years until.
No one ever really leaves. My first week here actually was quite hell.
Tell us about it.
It was snowing. First, I hate snow. So I came here, it was snowing, it was cold. I didn't know anyone because I came by myself. My agent, I can't say her name, but she's a prolific gangster here.
That's crazy.
I didn't know at the time. So I didn't realize that basically all of my information was held hostage.
Wow.
She put me off in a halfway house, getting ready for me to get an interview
Oh my
for a
God.
school. And then she went, okay, just wait for your interview. It'll probably be a week. Just stay in this halfway house. Bye. And then I'm just in this small apartment with... Also, this apartment had no Wi-Fi.
Wow.
And how many other people were also
Just me. It was just me. It was tiny. It was one bedroom, one living room, and a small bathroom. That was it. So I was like, okay, what do I do? I can't...
Did you have a phone? Or?
I had to go to Costa Coffee
Oh, to get Wi-Fi.
just to sit on Wi-Fi. So I bring my laptop and my phone to Costa and just sit there all day.
Well, that is actually a good thing about China. Whereas back home in the States, if I went to Starbucks, after a couple hours, they'd be like, "Sir, are you going to order something?"
I did
But in
buy a
China,
coffee.
you could just sit there all day.
I did buy the
Still
cheapest...
support the business.
Yeah.
Make purchase. But
As a British person, I cannot walk into a business without buying something before leaving.
yeah.
We consider it
Have
very
you-
rude.
There are so many KFCs there. People having business meetings. There's
Yeah.
nothing on the table.
Oh man, no! If you go into a
Don't
pub,
do that.
Yeah, if you go into a pub or a shop or anything in England,
You
it's
have to
very
buy
rude
something.
if you
Well,
just
that-
go to
that
the
you should-
bathroom and leave.
in San
You got to
Francisco,
buy
they
a
have a
beer.
sign.
You got to buy. Just get the cheapest thing.
Maybe I should.
then
Maybe I
leave.
should move to the because I always feel a little guilty if I go use someone's the bathroom
Yeah,
or
I feel
any
horrible
facility
about
of a
it.
business and not make any purchase.
Yeah.
Here in Beijing, they have street side bathrooms.
That's
like in San Francisco. If you're
That's- yeah.
downtown and you want to pee, if you don't have money, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Because if you have to use a business, and they'll say you have to
To
buy
make a
something
purchase, yeah.
to
of
get the
course.
key or whatever. But in Beijing, you're just walking down the street and they're just bathrooms.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have that in England either.
So-
Same thing there.
How did you get past that first week to a place where you're like, okay, I can stay here. This is all right. What was that transition?
I got the
like?
first job, and then the owner turned out to be another gangster. I know, right? So the school shut down, and he jumped to another country without paying, and I'm like,
oh my god.
and I'm like, is this how it works here? But then I got introduced to an employee I really enjoy. We became a friend. And I was like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like.
yeah.
And I had a really good time until COVID happened. Everything kind of went south. But luckily, I
was recently,
by then I have agents and stuff like that.
I was recently interviewing a lady named Christy who runs several schools here in Beijing, and she gave this advice too: that if you're coming over, make sure that you've talked to former employees or current
Yeah.
employees,
Other people, yeah,
other
exactly.
people. You really know what the school is you're going to go for. Some of
Yeah,
these
it's good
agents are like,
advice.
"Oh, we have 20 schools all over China."
I've
and
seen some
what that
really-
means is.
yeah.
They have nothing, and when you get there, then they're going to make money off of you. So they're
Yeah.
going to hold you hostage. So,
couple of those job groups on WeChat, and then I see those job posts all the time where they're like, English teachers urgently needed. We have 3,400 training facilities in China. I'm like,
it's exactly the wrong person to call.
who has 3,000 locations in China? What has
I know who
3,000?
does. Rebecca Tong.
Wow.
Really?
Gangster I first came over with.
Oh, you're.
I realized earlier I said I wouldn't say her name, but like she doesn't own me anymore. Rebecca Tong, Google her.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So I think, to make sure that you're going to have a pleasant experience, make sure that you know the name of the school
Yeah,
that you're
be
going
very
to.
careful.
Yeah, exactly what pay
Yeah.
is going to be. Make sure that you're, contract. When
Check
I came
Google
over,
the company, make sure. Yeah.
I signed my contract before I came over. I was like, here's
Me
your
too.
contract signed, here's your copy. Then I came over to China, so my experience was more pleasant.
Smart move.
Yeah. I just went with the first buyer, and luckily I got out unscathed. But
Yeah.
it was a long fight.
I
long
can't
fight.
imagine.
Besides the work inconvenience, just looking at the lifestyle here in Beijing versus lifestyle back home, what kind of things surprised you? What kind of things shocked you in an unpleasant way? And what kind of things were you like, oh, that's a different, cool way to do things?
Good question. I really like the old people just go out and dance, and they'll just go out and
We're going
work
to do an
out.
episode about that, by the way,
Yes.
very soon. I have already
Yeah,
written.
they'll just old girls, they just go out and they dance together as a group. It's a community. The old boys, they're doing their workouts in those little parks they built. It's awesome. The singing, playing like mahjong or something out on the street all together.
Yeah.
We don't have that in England. Old people get sent to a home, and that's where you stay. There's no like outdoor community stuff. Unless you're in like a dog walking group or...
We have parks.
We have parks, but like the most community thing is two people walking by each other when they walk their dogs and going, hey.
Aw.
Actually, it doesn't sound too dissimilar from America.
Yeah, it's just two people who know each other just from walking dogs in the same park.
I know.
That's the extent.
If you really think about it, the older, the senior community, at least in Beijing, because I've never lived an extensive period of time in another city, but the old community, the senior community here,
That's amazing.
they have things planned out for the whole year.
So cool.
Spring is the birds. Summer is
birds,
the board games, the chess. Fall, it's I don't know, whatever sports they want to do. Winter is the swimming in.
And then you got the hacky sack thing.
Oh yes,
And you have the flag waving thing where it's like a dragon.
It's amazing.
yeah. Oh,
on a
summer is
stick.
like winter. The fall they could fly kites.
You see, here's the thing. In the park where I live, they fly kites all year round. Even if it's like freezing cold and there's snow on the ground and it's
yeah.
shaking, there's like kites in there.
There's an avid kite community of usually older guys, but
Yeah.
that is one thing I found amazing about coming here.
Also, I have to just say this because I was surprised the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
Old ladies with swords dancing to music.
Yeah.
very slowly.
Very slowly with
Also,
swords.
next to my neighborhood, they practice their instruments and opera singing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and the
really cool.
the whip.
Oh, yeah. The first time I saw the whip, it was one guy, and he's beating this thing, and I was really confused. I'm like, what is this? But then I saw it like there's 7 guys or, people in a big circle, and they whip it to each other. And it's like a game where they pass
cool.
it around.
Oh, I didn't know you could whip it to each other.
Yeah, so there's like a whole whipping
That's cool.
community in Beijing International Sculpture Park. There's a section of the park where all these elderly folks get together and they whip this top that spins and it moves to the next person. They pass them around
That's
in
cool.
a giant circle.
That's really cool. But I'm talking about the actual, whip cracking, just
just
the
whip cracking.
Because I walked by the stadium, the Worker Stadium, that has been renovated.
It's
the lights
supposed
are
to
on.
open in March now.
The lights are already on, so if you're in the city, go watch it. Go see it at night. It's really beautiful. But there are always like a senior, older gentlemen there. And it sounds like when I first heard it, I remember I was walking with my boyfriend who's American. He heard it for the first time. He was like, gunshots? I'm like, no. Gunshots? It's the whip. It's the whip. And he was like, what? Because it's actually really loud.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hit anything. It's the sound of the whip kind of cracking in the air or something, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Actually,
breaks
if
the
you've
sound
ever heard
barrier.
a distance gunshot, that's what it sounds like.
I've never heard of a distance gunshot, but
Sounds like a crack.
And where I'm from, where my mom ended up retiring, there is a gun, range near where my mom lives.
Love it.
And all day during the daylight hours, you hear gunfire.
Sounds like cracks, right?
Yeah, like
it doesn't
just
actually sound like a pop or a bang.
It's
more of a
we're
crack.
about 3 miles or 2 miles, but you could just hear it all day
Yeah.
long. This
Wow.
little
It's
more of a crack sound.
pop sound.
that's why my boyfriend kind of freaked out the first
Yeah.
time, and then I was like, no, look, did you see that man over there, right there, that guy with the whip thing? That's like, and he was like, that makes that noise. I'm like, yes, it does.
Yeah.
What is that for? Is that for like upper body strength, or is it just for fun? Like why?
For upper body strength, I guess, and you have to kind of use your
Yeah. Could be just exercise. thing.
core,
or just because
to
he
make
wants to
sure.
look cool in front of the old ladies? Look at me.
Yeah. I've seen old ladies walking backwards in the park. just,
Oh my
like,
God,
swinging
yes.
their
Oh
arms.
yeah, the backwards.
I don't
walking.
question it anymore. It's just like, okay, it's some weird thing. Let them do it.
I give them
Have
respect
fun.
because I feel like if I walk
couldn't do that.
backwards, I would just fall.
Well, you guys,
Oh, I'd end up in hospital.
I think everyone has seen Tai Chi, but I saw this one gentleman in the park recently where he was doing Tai Chi, not just slowly, but so slowly that the cycle that you would normally get through in like a couple minutes, probably going to take him an hour to get to the end of it.
That's a lot of control. It's
Yeah,
a lot
it
of
was
body control.
Super slow. I was
He's
like,
doing like a flying back kick, but takes an entire day to get through it. I'm like, damn, this guy's magic. Like, wow.
And his
it's
secret
impressive.
is to just run, make sure you
Yeah.
run out of patience.
Like, are you okay, my friend? He's like, a wizard turned me slow. Help me.
Well, let's turn it on the other way, because one thing that I find striking,
Yeah.
I still am not pleasant about living in China, is
Okay.
stinky tofu.
Oh, man.
Because when I'm walking by it, it's like a block away. I'm like, ugh. Oh,
Okay,
God, why?
I guess if you're mentioning stinky tofu to the both of you as a Chinese person, I'm going to ask stinky tofu, durian, and
Durian's okay.
the
It's
stinky noodle
acceptable.
from Guangxi province.
I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know how to say it. It's the river snail
This is
rice
snail?
noodle.
Are there
I think I know
snails?
what I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You probably, I don't know if it's your girlfriend, it's Kay's girlfriend's Chinese.
Yeah, my girlfriend's from Beijing.
I don't
She
know
loves
if she
all that stuff.
Yeah, so that's why I think like what's so stinky tofu, stinky fruit durian, and then that stinky noodle. Are they all no's for you guys?
Luckily for me, I have no sense of smell.
Really?
Because
You
of
knew that,
COVID?
didn't you?
I did not know that. My mind
How
is
did you not
literally-
know that?
I am like it's like my mind is blowing. I didn't know that. Are you serious?
Yeah. Well,
So you're like, that's tofu.
I can walk past the public bathroom, and I'll be totally fine.
Can you smell anything? or-
Nothing.
Nothing.
No,
Nothing.
Wow.
Living in Liverpool is very dangerous.
I'm sorry. Well, I miss. Why?
Well, I'm from Liverpool, right? Liverpool is known for having very violent locals.
Yeah, I heard from our
With we call ourselves Scousers. With Scousers, you're either going to get someone who is the funniest, loudest, big slice of life person you've
Yeah.
ever met, because we pride ourselves on being very positive and happy and fun, or you'll get the other half, which is like living in Dune. Yeah,
my God.
It's just people who want to cause chaos and rob you and stab you and take.
And that's just
for
who they
fun.
are.
They do it for fun.
So how
Yeah.
does this relate to smell?
I got hit in the head with a wrench by one of those, the other 50%.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Yeah, they were like, "How old are you?" And I was like, "I'm 13." They were about 15, and they were like, "Oh, okay, you're young enough to
Get hit in the head with
to get hit in the head with a wrench with." So I got hit in the head twice, and I never got to smell anything ever again.
Oh, that is a tragic story.
Yeah.
I know, I feel
but luckily for me,
sad.
when I go into a Chinese restaurant, it's all gravy, baby, because I can't
Well, I
smell
mean,
a thing.
99% of Chinese food is delightful.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's just,
It is.
just
It's
stinky
the
tofu.
stinky tofu stuff and the spicy. For me, it's the spicy stuff and the stinky stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the tofu. Most of it's like 95% of Chinese food is completely acceptable, but the spicy, because I can't taste.
So
So
it's just-
spicy for me is just fire.
Oh no.
My point was actually not to talk about stinky tofu. I just want to use that as an example. As
set
an
me off
example.
on
yeah,
a
I know.
roll
This
there.
whole 10 minutes has been like a huge tangent. I meant for you personally, what kind of things stuck out for you, maybe in your first few months, 6 months, year, as like culture shockish? Like, wow, that's very different.
Probably work ethic.
What do you mean?
A lot of the local people here, they work way harder than I've ever seen anyone in England work hard. Because I was a bar manager, you know. I used to like run a bar, so people work for me, and I couldn't get any of the wash a dish is a problem.
Wow.
Clean the glasses, oh no, it's a problem. Here, it just gets done.
Here's like, why are you a manager? We've done all the
Yeah.
jobs without you asking.
And they're like, oh yeah, I'll do everything everyone else does, and I'll do it for like pennies.
Yeah.
And it just gets done. And then go home to their families. That also family ethic here is pretty good.
Yeah, actually, I always
I admire that.
I really think about it. Everything back home that people value about family, I come here and it's like they actually do
like 10
that.
times more,
It's like
yeah.
wow, it's really
Yeah.
beautiful. Actually,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that too. Last question: you have so many projects, so many things that you're involved in. What is the future for K Gambit?
Good question. Hopefully my agents hook me up with some more good movies. I'm writing the second novel,
nice.
so hopefully people read the first one.
if
Otherwise,
you give me a copy, I will read
I'll
it.
give you a copy. Otherwise, Amazon won't won't allow us to make another one. So hopefully people will read the first one. But yeah, making a second novel. Hopefully we expand our comedy range. We do more shows.
Yeah, we just did a recorded show
Yeah.
last month.
Yep. That was really good.
Are you allowed to talk about where to find that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not
Well,
yet.
So we
It is
just
on a-
look for comedy K Gambit and Alex.
Yeah, we're currently under
Sure.
NDA,
Search.
but it's a prolific, I guess, streaming
Platform,
platform who has sponsored it and will release it. We can't say which one, but
when it comes out,
when it
everybody
comes
will
out,
know.
when it comes out, we're gonna tell everyone, show everyone. Yeah, but it's a big streaming platform. It's in editing stages right now, so.
Thank you so much for coming on the bridge and sharing your experience of living and working in China with
My
us.
pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have
you,
you,
Alex.
okay?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hello.